Whoop, what's this? Wait. Okay, let's go to that one. And we're recording. Okay.
Does everyone see the recording logo?
Yeah. Okay. All right. And thank you, Lisa, for your comment about everybody on mute. So let me do some chatting. It's been great to have the prayer time this morning. And now let's go into the lesson. I love this lesson. This is one of my very favorites. And the topics, boom, 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 in the next few days of July were just an amazing turning point. So I'm thinking just for sake of Lisa, our newest addition, I want to just do kind of from the very beginning, we started out with the idea that we learn how the brain works, how it processes fear and trauma. We learn drills, one drill, the stand down drill, to help us if we have gone up into fight or flight. And what's the drill that we use if we have shut down into freeze mode? Is what?
Grounding.
Grounding drill. Okay, so we've learned to identify what our body cues are telling us so that we can know which drill to do. And what if we, so it's like, I'm over here, so I should do stand down, or I'm over here, so I should do grounding. What do you do if the cues are like this? Yes. Yeah. I basically just do whichever one I haven't practiced. If I've mostly been doing stand down, I'll do grounding. So I was talking to Louisa and I was saying, I'm not really sure how much we're doing the drills lately. So she said, well, you haven't been asking. So, okay, I'm going to ask this morning, how are you still doing? Are you still working away at doing drills, let's say at least once or twice a week? Is that still happening? Or is this a gentle reminder to go back and, continue doing that? Yes, Arlene.
For me, I'm doing it semi. I don't know. I know that we have to, not sure if we have to really stand up sometimes or just be sitting down doing grounding. But if I'm in that moment of like a little kind of scared or something's going on in me, I just do it right there. And even though if I'm in bed,
Yes,
I'm like thinking of that grounding, like, okay, I just close my eyes and says, okay, I'm here, I'm doing all that. Get me back in the track, Okay. And I'm trying to feel my toes too. It's like, okay, and those kind of things. So I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I have been doing it that way. Not usually the way that technically has to be done, but just the way to get me back on my own reality, because or else I'll end up dwelling with this worriness, like, or being scared. Like I'm sorry, Didi.
No, are you finding that helpful?
Yeah. I mean, my husband and I went on a trip and we flew to San Francisco, and every time him and I would travel together, I kind of get nervous because we leave the kids behind, and all in my mind is, oh gosh, if something happened to both of us, then we leave the kids. That kind of sips in your mind a little. And especially flying is not my number one, I'm not fan of flying. So I get real nervous more. So, and he knows that. He would tell me to drink wine or alcohol just to get me calm. But I kind of like, no, I'm not going to do that. I have the grounding drill to do. So, but yeah, so those kind of things. And right there, and then I just do it. Okay, I'm here. my toes are still on this plane, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it seems like my mind just goes somewhere. But it's
Mhm.
kind of hard when you're really, really nervous and that fear takes over. So, and that's what I need to work on more.
I suggest that if you feel like you're strongly in the grip of either flight or fight or freeze, that you step, to a private place and do the whole drill.
Right.
But when we kind of notice that we're tending towards something, to what you're talking about is micro movements. And you're doing micro movements that are on the one that you need. So micro movements of just putting your attention to feel your toes.
Right.
Is plenty. And then squish your toes to the floor or squish them under the covers. What any part of any of those drills, if you are doing it with intention, will be helpful.
Right.
Okay, so I'm happy with that. So
Yeah.
is this a good encouragement that if you haven't been keeping up with doing the drills, it would be good to, at least a couple of times a week to do one or the other. And if you have a time like this where, I don't know, should I do this or should I do that? And it seems like there's, you're fine. Then just do whichever one you feel like doing. Like if you haven't done one for a while, just do the one you haven't done for a while. Okay, so now let's jump in. And this whole topic, it's one of those deals where I feel like everybody on the face of the earth has already figured this out but me. And then in July, I come, I've been doing all of this stuff from January to July. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at it and I start thinking about the word let in my verse of let the peace of Christ rule. And I'm going, let, what does that mean? What is that? What's that talking about? So that was that started a line of thinking. That's the kind of the main topic. And the next, all the entries that, the next few entries were all kind of pieces of that same one. So let's jump into the questions. So on July 5th, what question occurred to Dee Dee? And how would you describe what is happening in figure 23? And, can I show it? Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Can you see it? Okay, can you see it, Lisa?
If you press pin, if you go to your tile and press on those three little dots, it'll say pin, and you can pin Dee Dee and you can see the illustration in full.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sort of tech savvy on this, but I don't want to be in a learning
Okay.
mode.
That's all right.
Anyway, but the idea of it is, it's like God's up here and it's like he's sending peace. And the one person has something blocked. So the peace kind of, veers off and doesn't come to me. But then there's the other person is not putting up a boundary or a barrier, and peace is kind of enfolding them. Okay, so there's kind of an idea of there's an active thing that's happening that I can either resist or go along with. And have you ever been in a situation where somebody was saying, well, we can pray about it and then we'll find the peace of Christ, and you're going, no, I feel like I've got a God-given right to worry about this, as my kids. So, I need to be worrying about my kids, or I won't be a good mom, if I'm not worried, so something like that. So have you had times like that where you feel either that you can receive peace coming or you can resist peace coming? Does that make sense?
I think we can't have two opposite emotions at the same time.
Mhm.
Can't be angry and have peace. We can't be worry and have peace. So it's either one or the other.
Yeah,
It
okay,
all depends on what we're allowing.
yeah. So this is a new thought to, okay, so how does this work? Because, you know, I'm familiar with the mindset of Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Okay, be anxious for nothing. And then it gives you a root of praying about it. And then the God of peace will, you know, guard your hearts and minds. And so I'm thinking, well, okay, how am I cooperating with that? So, what aspect of God's character matches well as the flip side of the God of peace, and how do they work together to keep us at peace? And this is on page 182. 182. If you haven't, and it's one second paragraph, third, fourth, about the fifth paragraph down.
Okay, he's the God of peace, but he's also our commander, which means
Yeah.
the rulership of God.
Yeah,
The rulership of God of peace. I like the way you put it.
yeah,
The rulership of the God of peace.
yes, okay. So isn't that weird to have this, the God of peace, we've been seeing as this
Mhm.
very kind person who comes to us when we are most afraid and comforts us and brings us to a place where we're not afraid. Okay, so now this is like, who knew that the other part of this is that he would be our commander? You know, let the peace of Christ rule. So there's this much firmer, stronger side that is at work at the same time as the God of peace. Okay, all right. Why did 2 Timothy 2:4 become such a pivotal verse? And somebody want to read? I mean, it's right there on that page, the verse and the indent, bold indent.
A bold in there. Oh, okay. The biggest thing.
No, the next page, the page before 182.
Oh, before 182. There we go.
Second Timothy
Okay.
that you asked for, or Philippians?
Timothy.
It says, no one serving as a soldier gets entangled in civilian affairs, but rather tries to please his or her commanding officer.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm seeing this as being there's a commander that's involved with me as I'm trying to figure out how to have peace.
Mhm.
That he's also available here. And then let's see. And he's talking about civilian affairs. For the purpose of keeping us at peace, what are some of the ways we can define civilian affairs? And think about things that pester you and prevent you from staying at peace. What might be one or two examples of a civilian affair in your own story that is not just a normal and legitimate concern? What do
You
you
mean
think
like
would be
your,
a civilian affair?
is that the world around you
Yeah, yeah,
that could interfere with your life because of what COVID totally interfered with everybody's life
yes,
and we had no control over it, but we could go to God and find peace.
yeah. I think the whole world of COVID is an excellent example because there's information that we need to know. So we want to know enough information so that we are being wise. But there are some people who live and breathe all the paranoia
Yes.
of COVID. And every day they're checking. And this is a civilian affair. If I am completely immersed, and I'm not a nurse or a doctor or a healthcare worker, I'm me overdoing my ministry. But if I'm totally focused on COVID, see, that's a civilian affair. Okay.
Okay.
It's not my job to be solving COVID for
Mhm.
people. Okay, so I need to have some kind of distance to say, okay, I need enough information like a soldier would know, okay, you know, there's a traffic jam on 5th and Main. So avoid that, you know, reroutes to avoid that. But I'm not going over there and just getting caught up in it. Okay, all right, so what can you see that's in your life that is a drama that is going on in your vicinity that really has nothing to do with you,
Hmm.
if you think about it?
Sometimes, like Teddy was saying, there are situations or even people, the truth of the matter, we don't have control over anything.
Mhm,
And we try. But I like what you said here is that things and status, non-peace, earthly mindset, but we worry about possessions, death, the future, as if there was no God.
yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
And so we try to protect inherently the perishable stuff, things that are here today and gone tomorrow. And the thing about it is that, yes, we have, like you said, we have a responsibility of being wise, but there is just absolutely nothing, we really don't have control over very little. We don't even have control over ourselves,
yeah, yeah,
much less the situation or other people.
yeah, yes.
Okay.
Good comment. Anybody else?
I'm looking at section 72, and I think context is great too.
Mhm,
And the whole section is great because without reading the whole thing, just the verse before, it says, share in suffering as a good soldier of Christ. So
Mhm.
even taking out that suffering part, right? But you're a
Yeah.
good, it's telling you, you're a good soldier of Christ.
mhm,
So thinking about that, it kind of can shift your mindset too, because the things we worry about, not all of them, right? There are these things, but there's
Yeah.
stuff that we worry about that are legitimate things that's not what we're talking about here. So we're not
Yeah.
saying ditch all your worries, none of
Yes.
it's legit. But
Yes.
thinking about that, so I'm thinking, what came to my mind right away is we're going to be hosting a Bible study here, and I am very stressed about it because I am a details person. So I
Yeah.
want every detail mapped out ahead of time. So
mhm,
that's an actual concern, right? And that's a legitimate one. I'm doing this in the service of Christ. I'm opening my home in service of Christ. I'm being a good soldier, right? I'm doing, so this is something that I should put my mind to. But going 6 weeks down the line and wondering about which kid's gonna not listen, that's probably not something that my
Yeah.
mind should be set on.
Yeah.
Maybe think, oh, will I have enough seats? Okay, that's something I can put my mind to. But, and then verse 7, which I highlighted, and I feel like I need to get this tattooed on myself. Think over what I say, for the Lord will give you understanding in everything.
Yeah.
Which just solidifies that even if we don't quite get it yet, it's coming.
Mhm.
He will give us
Yes.
understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I love your comments. That's really great. So now, did y'all get the worksheet
Yes.
that was sent out? Either to have access to it or, okay, and I'm going to, as I was reading this over, the title, My Commander, made total sense to me. Don't worry, I'll use it. It's this one, here, no, right there. It worked for my mind, the way my mind was working at the time. And so I'm, just putting it in, but on this thing, it's saying, it may seem jarring to talk about my commander after focusing on the God of peace for so long. So I just want to show you in what sense I'm thinking of God being my commander as the counterpart to the God of peace. Okay. So I remind you that at the January 1st retreat, I got 2 insights. The first was when we cry out to God while we are in the grip of survivor mode, Jesus comes to help us, particularly as the God of peace. He doesn't come as the judge to say, what's wrong with you, that you're worried. He comes as the God of peace to say, how can I help you calm down? it's very calming presence. And the second one is the great antidote to fight, flight, or freeze is a deeper knowing of the God of peace, not just with head knowledge, but in the visceral trenches with our reactive body, which is the fancy way of saying, as we're doing the figuring out the cues and doing the drills, we're finding that, see, my whole idea is you do the drills so that at the end you've collected yourself so that there's Jesus. And so Jesus, you can talk things over with Jesus. So I'm not just doing it, to do the drill for its own sake. I'm doing it so that at the end I'm calm and there I am with Jesus, okay? And I talk it over, okay? But I hadn't really thought about what that means. And so it's in that way that I'm seeing the distinction. So this is like, so the God of peace and my commander. So when I am afraid, the God of peace brings comfort. That's the first fill in the blank on this side, okay? Brings comfort and helps me overcome fear. Okay.
Comfort, okay.
Okay. But then under my commander, once I am calm and collected, so this is after the drill is done, okay, gives me insight and practical debriefing if I will sit in his presence. Okay, and you've seen this all the year long, of the entries so far, but I hadn't made that connection yet. Okay, so the God of peace is while I'm afraid, helping me to not be afraid anymore. But as soon as I'm collected, then almost every entry has some kind of insight or game plan or simple idea or talking it over. And that's the commander part. Okay, so it's not drill sergeant. It's like this. Oh, yeah. So Diana.
We do the same thing. We don't even realize it as mothers. Our kids are all revved up and we calm them down first. And then we say, this is what we're going to do. Or this is, and we do it instinctively. And yet when it comes to God, there's no instinct there at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the second one, on the God of peace side, God is endlessly patient to help me whenever I feel overwhelmed or afraid. It doesn't matter if we do it 4,362 million times. Okay, if we come to God and ask him to help us to calm down and collect ourselves, he will patiently help us. All right. I think one of my favorite phrases about God is that he remembers that we are dust. I just love that descriptor because it's just saying, we could be squished like a bug if he's too harsh. And so he doesn't do that. He helps us to stay, he's tender. He stoops down to talk to us. Kind of kneels down to be on our level. But now the counterpart to that on the other side for my commander is he also offers training. Okay, so that we don't flip out as often or for as many things. Okay, and that's what this whole year has been for the, I'm talking about the book year, has been training me to be more at peace about more things. And okay, how do I do that? And this goes back to, this is a major topic for me because my childhood was chaotic and full of angst. And when I was recovering, it was full of angst and dilemma and drama trying to recover. When I got to the end, kind of where I had things sort of figured out, I realized I have no idea how to do peace. I don't understand how to do peace because if things get too calm for a couple of days, I feel weird about it. And so I would get up at 2 in the morning and have an imaginary conversation with my mother, just to stir the pot. So that I would go to bed, all full of angst again, because that would make me feel, more comfortable. Okay, I didn't know how do I stay calm and at peace when that has not been my story ever. Okay, so this thing, so there have been this whole thing, the whole time I've been at BBBC has been part of the time from 2003. I have been in major training of how to do peace, because I didn't know. Okay, so he also offers the training so we don't flip out as often or for as many things. And then when Jesus rules, so it says, let the peace of Christ rule. Okay, it says I love this phrase from Luke 1:79. He guides our feet into the path of peace. So it's a lifestyle. It's it's the warrior way. But this is a lifestyle of peace that is distinct. As distinct as if you were training for Taekwondo or training to become a chef or, training to become, whatever. Okay, it's a training into a path of peace. Okay, isn't that cool? This is part of when Zechariah finally could talk after John the Baptist was born. He had all this stuff. He said, here's prophetically what my son is going to do, and then Messiah is going to come, and this is what Messiah is going to do in this last phrase, guide our feet into the path of peace,
Right.
which I love. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now quickly, if we only, on the God of peace side, if we only stay here on the, lurching from crisis to crisis, we don't grow up into full maturity. Okay, it's like freak out, and then tomorrow there's freak out, and then learning okay, calm down, and then the next day freak out, and then freak out. It's like the wheelchair doesn't show up at the airport. Freak out.
Yeah, that lady was.
Right, like the other lady was, but I mean, it was really stressful. I mean, how on earth are you going to get to the other gate if you don't have a wheelchair? So it's that kind of thing. The God of peace will help us, but if we just stay at that place where we don't ever learn how to take control over the topics that give us anxiety, then we haven't gone the second mile. And so that's what that's what the rest of the book is going to be about, is how do we stop getting freaked out about, more and more things. Okay. So we remain like infants. And then down at the bottom, it says, in the book, if you go back and want to know, here were instances where the God of peace showed up in a wonderful way. Here are examples, January 10th entry, February 24th, you can look those up where it was clearly the God of peace. And it was I just love when don't you love when the God of peace shows up? Yeah, I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Okay, so now let's finish it up on this side. Growth requires increasing levels of mental toughness. Okay, so the first one is levels of mental toughness and obedience. Okay, to keep our minds at peace. So the soldier mindset is to be aware of what's going on, be clued in about what's a civilian affair. Okay, this is like, I'll just give an example of church stuff. you know, it's like my lane at church is to teach, this Bible study. And if people are, and to do care ministry, on Sunday mornings, and to be open for people who need counsel or encouragement, on more of a one-on-one level, okay? And to take really good care of Jim. So that, so it's my job on Sunday afternoon to Monday night. It's my job to help him to have a good day off that ticks all the buttons so that Tuesday morning he's good to go. That's my lane. All right. So there's a couple of things there are always a few things that are going on in the church. It's like, I think there's, what are we going to do about Sunday school? And what are we going to do about, this or that? Okay, I hear about them, but that is civilian affair to me. It is not my job. It is not my task to get all worked up about something that is not my task. Okay. And so, but can you imagine all the years of my, being a pastor's wife, and I'm off, in the car, somebody's, has a problem in children's ministry, which is nowhere near my job. Okay. And I'm in the car going, well, why don't they do this? And why don't they just, and do you see how that's messing up? It's taking something that I'm not clear on what my lane is and on what my calling is, so that I'm off on something else. And I figured out, with my kids, we pray for them. We, give them advice if they need it, but they rarely want it. Okay. So our main job is to pray about it and let the Lord handle it. Okay? So I consider that it is not my job to worry about either one of our kids. Okay. Or any of our grandkids. We pray for them. We pray for them good, well-rounded prayer, and we help in whatever way we can. But after that, they're doing a great job. It's not my task to raise their kids. Okay, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah, the first
Okay.
thing I thought, which kind of connects to this, was when you said, let's say whatever ministry that's not your lane, but it's Pastor Jim's lane. Okay, so then what about when he's all stressed about it? Because that's then what I do. Oh, I'm worried because he's worried, but no, because it's still not your lane. Now you just pray that God will give him wisdom to figure it out, and then you're done.
See, it's my lane to take care of Jim. Okay, so while and do you remember a few weeks ago, right, where my role is to be someone who helps Jim come to peace. All right. So while I'm in it, we did training on this, right? So after it's done, I have done my role by talking with him and praying it through with him in whatever way. But after that, the diagram where there's I was interconnected with his anxiety or his concern. So I need to step away. Okay, this is Jim's. This is mine. I come to peace about it. Okay, so that I am not continuing to carry it, because it's not my job to carry all of Jim's concerns. Okay.
We didn't finish this.
Okay. All right. So we
did not finish.
yes, I know.
Okay.
What is thank you. Where'd I put it? Okay. This one is something that I got when I was praying about this and putting this thing together. The last fill in the blank, okay? Every promise contains within it a gateway to God's path of peace. Is that the coolest thought? I don't take any credit for that. I was praying about this and the Lord just popped it into my head, okay? But it's like, think about it this way, okay? my mind is very much thinking about what kind of ministry that, what's my life going to be like? I mean, Monday, I'm having my birthday. And so it's like a new decade. And it's like, yikes, this is going to be a decade that's going to be, a whole new season of my life. Okay. I could be occupied by worrying about how that's going to work out. But the Lord has given me Psalm 92, 12 to 15 as my life verse. This is my identity verse. And he said, this is you. Okay. So verse 14 in that says, let me write it. Where did I put it since okay. It says, they will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. Okay. To me, that is a promise for me personally. I'm a really late bloomer. When the Lord gave me that as a promise, I hadn't written any books and I hadn't gotten training to be a counselor. So all of so this bearing fruit in old age is a promise for me. Okay, so as I'm thinking ahead, if I'm worrying about what I'm going to be doing for ministry, I am not in the path of peace that is in this verse. But if I stay in here, and this says, the Lord said to me, this is verses about you. Okay, so that's saying, for some reason, it looks like no matter what my health is like or whatever things are like, the Lord is going to keep the door open so that I will continue to bear fruit. Okay, so I can rest in that. All right. And I can, and I love the idea of staying fresh and green. Reverend Jay watched us when we were in Bangalore together, and he says, you guys, you've been married a long time, but your marriage is still green. It's like, yeah, we just love the heck out of each other, So it was like, yeah, okay. So does that make sense? Okay. All right. Comments, questions, and then we need to fly. That took way longer than I thought it would. Okay. Comments?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the whole thing. It says every promise contains within it a gateway to God's what? Of peace?
Path of peace.
Okay, I didn't hear you. Okay, thank you.
Path of peace. So I'm resting in the path of peace. I don't have to worry about the specifics. The Lord doesn't tend to tell me what he's doing in my life 2 years down the line. He tells me for this season. Okay, so I can be at peace even though I don't know it, because if I'm believing that promise is saying things will be fine. Okay, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to fly.
Totally.
Yes. What time is it? Oh my gosh, we are running late. Okay, so let's just see. Now let's switch to page 184, July 10th, the stand down and the Thai cave rescue. Remember when this happened a few years ago? And
Oh, yes.
for
Yes.
days and days, they were just trying to figure out a plan and everything. And so how would you paraphrase that quote to apply it to, what we do?
Well, I just put our training is what gets us through dire situations in a way that keeps us focused.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
I like that. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, I like what it says. You mean on the bottom here, in extreme situations?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't rise to the level of our expectations, I would say, but we fall to the level of our training so
Yeah.
that we can be at peace because we've had the training.
Yeah.
So we do know what to do. We may not do it as good as we want
Yeah.
or we think we should, but we handled the situation and got through.
Yeah,
And we were at peace.
yes, yes. And don't expect that the crisis is going to help you to figure out how to be at peace.
I
You
was
need
gonna
to learn how to be at peace when you are in the calm times, so that when you are in crisis, it's like your body memory is the thing that kicks in. Okay,
Yes.
so that's what we want. That's like in the, the heart attack time, or, times like that. It's like, you're not going to be remembering 14 verses, but we are going to remember how to do the drill. Okay, because if we've trained, okay.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody else?
I've seen this in real life. So my husband is super highly trained in everything. And one day we saw a guy get hit by a car. And so I freaked out immediately, and I'm like literally frozen. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm so lucky," because he was so calm. He gets out of the car, he goes to the guy, he does all the stuff that he's been trained to do. And that reminded me exactly of this, because I'm not trained in any kind of emergency medical or response or anything.
Yeah.
But because he didn't do what I immediately did with the freak. He said, "All right, I know what to do. Let me go deal with this." So that's a reminder,
Yes.
even a small thing like you're saying, okay, we're in our Zoom, but it's maybe not time to learn, because that's not where your mind is in that exact moment, to learn a new technological thing. You're in your zone, and that's a really cool way to think about it.
Yeah. I just love that idea. Yeah. Okay. How about the, let's see, the need to know? How'd you like that entry? Has anybody ever had the experience of getting, praying about it, and you got a need to know bit of information that would cover, okay, in this situation, here's what you need to know.
Yes, I've had that. Yeah.
So what was that like?
Well, especially when I got the word of the dementia and the bit of a panic and deciding to leave my home of 25 years, moving here to a strange place, even though my daughter was here. And it was becoming difficult. I just finally panicked about living in an apartment. And I'm in a big mobile home there in California, and to go into a 1-bedroom, with all my art stuff, and I was just frantic, and I was online looking and had been asking God to guide me, to show me. And he just always said, why don't you see if you buy a home in this mobile home park that I'm now, that they would approve you. And it was just as clear and as calm. Because I had been asking him, what do I do? And he answered, and it was, I was so excited, and I did exactly what he said. I called, but she said, by the skin of your teeth, you're approved. But I got in,
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. That was just so neat.
Anybody else been through a situation and the Lord gave you, a couple of clues of, okay, here's what you need to know about this season of your life, this situation. And if you just keep your eye on the ball on these things, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I do. We were trying to decide where to retire to, and we spent months looking, months and months and months, and I felt like we were really stuck. And then the Lord just showed me that, Paul, he was on a mission, and he was going in a certain direction to a certain region, but the Lord stopped him. And I thought, oh, so we've been praying. So just make a move, and the Lord can stop it at any moment in time. And that's what we want to do. It's not right. Well, in a month we owned a house. So it was like, so that was so cool. I had so much peace after hearing that.
Yes.
Oh, that's so great. Don't you love that?
I do.
It's just-
Isn't this cool to be aware that the Lord will give you enough need to know info
Mhm,
so that you can start watching for it?
mhm,
And then pay attention. Okay, this is enough information. Just knowing this is, and it's rarely very specific,
mhm,
detailed. It's usually that you can fit it on a 3x5 card.
mhm.
It's not in detail. I mean, Teddy, it's in a sentence, and same with
This-
Pat, it's in a sentence. Yeah.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. And so I give examples. The examples I gave, the second one I thought was an interesting one. This is on page 186. That when I left the particular ministry, and I was away from it, but I was still stressing about it. Okay, and
Okay.
the Lord, and my mind kept going back to that place and wondering what they were doing, and fretting, just my mind was just agitated for months. And the Lord finally said, look, what are you talking about? I brought you, I pulled you out of that
Mhm.
situation so that they could handle the situation. But you're having all this anxiety right here in this place that I've given you as a sanctuary.
Yeah.
So you're bringing the angst into this sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
And so he was saying, stop being there. You need to be calm down when you're here. Don't be worrying about what's going on with them, because it's, again, it is not your task.
Mhm.
And that training, mental toughness, to not allow my mind to go over to a place that the Lord had said, that's not your task. Okay. That's invaluable experience.
Yes.
Because, aren't we often in a situation where we're over here, we're out of the arena, but we're really worried about it. Okay. See,
Mhm.
so for me at that point, what was going on back at the old place was a civilian affair.
Okay.
It wasn't my affair. It was a civilian affair. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it
Mhm.
reminds me
Yes.
of neuroplasticity. So my guess is
Neuroplasticity.
every time that mental toughness, you're building it up and you're taking that pathway. Because
Yes.
I'm thinking right off the bat, this is so hard.
No. Yeah.
But every time,
Yeah.
just like the drills, they were hard when we started, but they become
Yeah.
more natural.
Yeah. Yeah. This is more on the line of allowing the Lord, let the peace of Christ rule in your heart. That's how it rules. It's not ruling only just in the moment. It's ruling by what we are, as a lifestyle, limiting our mind from doing. Okay, so if I'm avoiding the whole topic of worrying about something, it was like when the election happened. I was deeply disappointed with the election results. I feel very much in despair about that. But I mourned for that for about 2 weeks. And then, you know what? I got to live my life. My calling is even more important than it was before, but I greatly limit conversations and, because there's nothing that I can do to improve the situation. And notwithstanding all the mailers that come and say, hey, if you've signed this petition, and yeah, any petition signed for, my senators is going to go in the trash bin anyway, so why am I bothering? But it's that kind of a thing. For some people, the political situation is their task. Okay, for those people, it is their task. They need to figure out how to do that and how to do it to keep at peace internally while they do that. For me, it's not my task at all. And it's also not my task to persuade anybody of the other point of view. It's like, I consider it a waste of time anyway. And why would I get drawn into the classic civilian affair? I think people are lining up on whichever side they are. And I don't see Jesus running after Pharisees. Oh, please, please, would you understand me? Like that. I see him going, okay, in Nazareth, they tried to stone him, so he went to another town. So anyway, does that make sense? You okay?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. Let's see, really quickly on the July 16, fight mode and visceral living. That's a 16. How'd you like that quote from Dennis?
Yeah.
You are allowed to process, you are not allowed to wallow.
I love it.
So how would you define in whatever context you have as, okay, this is me processing and this is me wallowing?
Yes.
Yes, Diane?
I wrote down that processing is a strategy where you can look at the facts and assess if something can be done. If it's my job to do something,
Right.
and what can that action be? If you can act, do it as soon as possible. If not, let it go.
That's right.
Following is turning it over and over in your mind and your emotion and just living in that.
Yeah.
In the
Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos, yes.
It was like your example about the election.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go through it, you say, I was disappointed too, and blah, 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 but then you gotta let it go.
Mhm.
Let it go. This is what is, and we pray for our country, pray for our leaders.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can't every day go around complaining about the election.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
would be
It's in
wallowing.
God. It's in God's hands anyway.
Yeah.
Are we trying to take it away from God
Yeah.
by worrying about it?
Yeah.
And worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but doesn't get you anywhere.
That's a great one.
Yeah. And I don't know if I thought that up or not, but I know it's years old. I drew a picture, I cartoon of it once, but and to me, it's such a good illustration because you can worry and worry and worry, but if it can't do anything,
Yeah.
why are you letting it dominate your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you could be helping somebody or going to church or, something fruitful.
Yeah. Now, processing can take a long time. For me, processing recovery from extreme childhood abuse took me years. And so that is processing. I was getting new information. There were things that I couldn't resolve, and it took a long time to resolve them. So processing, legitimate processing can take a long time. All right. We can have seasons in our walk with the Lord that are very puzzling. They can take us a long time to figure out. Okay. As long as I was like productive churning that I'm figuring it out. I'm working the problem. Okay?
Yes.
So if I'm working the problem, that's processing. Okay. But if me getting up at 2 a.m. to just do a rehash of all the reasons why I'm upset with my mom, that is wallowing.
Yes.
There's no excuse for me to be doing that. I didn't figure anything out. new
No.
with that. I just rehashed all of my grievances. It didn't help me to come to peace with anything. I didn't think to pray about it. I was just in there, slopping around in the, So if it's, you know what victim swamp is?
A what?
Have you heard the term victim swamp?
No.
Yeah, victims. It's like these people that year after year after year. Oh, my sister treated me wrong, and she did this right. It was so unfair, and my life hasn't been able to be in what it should be because she just stabbed me in the back. And I'm staying there rehashing over and over why why she did me wrong. Well, that's me being a victim and me rolling around in that instead of crawling out of that swamp and figuring out how to get well.
Right.
Okay.
Then you can flourish with God.
Yeah.
Really flourish.
All right. Okay. How are we doing? 39. We're doing, I think we can figure out this last thing. July 23 on page 189. How did you like the idea of the pace of God? I mean, people talk about waiting on God. How do you like the idea of the pace of God?
I like that because we can't just wait and wait, and then when it happens, go, uh-oh, and then we got to catch up with God. We need to be ready for when God does act to keep pace with him.
Yeah, good.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think there's a thing about it. I think that we don't know, we don't trust him enough. We haven't learned to trust him, whatever, to just wait. He is the one that's in control of things. He is the one that's orchestrating things. He is the one that has the knowledge, not us. But when God seems to tarry, then we have a habit of jumping in and trying to take over it again.
That's true.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Well, isn't there a verse in the Bible that says that something about him being patient with us? Not like he, oh gosh, I have to go. I have to find it. Something about him. It's not that he doesn't know when to come in or when to do all these things, or he's just being patient with us, kind of thing. I have to look downstairs. I have it on my binder.
You might be thinking of a verse in 1st or 2nd Peter.
I think
about that. It might be that he's patient. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's on the line of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think first of all, the first part of learning this is to learn how to wait on the Lord and have that be an active, proactive kind of thing. Because we start out, pretty much everybody starts out wanting to go faster than what God does.
Right.
Does that make sense? Does that sound right?
Totally.
So we're always, it's like training a dog to heel. It's like I read, the dog is there wanting to get out and really run, and somebody talked about it that we were going at the pace of death. It's like, my human is so slow. So usually we start out wanting God to be much faster to answer our prayers, much faster to answer our questions, much faster to end limbo for us. That we want to find a boyfriend now. We want to, we want to get pregnant right when we want to get pregnant.
Right.
Yes, Arlene.
I think I got the verse.
What is it?
It's in 2 Peter 3:9. It says, "The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. Instead, he is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
'Cause
thank you, Arlene.
Well, we want Jesus to come, you know, Lord Jesus, come now. But then we
Yes.
have to be patient that he wants to
Mhm.
give everybody a chance to repent and come to. So and I was this really bad this way, and I was being selfish,
Mhm.
instead of waiting for others. I
Yeah.
wanted it now,
Yeah.
when I first really understood it. And then I finally realized, oh dear,
Yeah.
are you being selfish?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it takes that the Lord says, hello,
Mhm.
you're being selfish for the other people.
Yeah.
And you got to really watch why you want things.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think this is kind of a two-part training that the Lord does. And so I think the
Mhm.
first part is to help all of us to learn how to be patient with the Lord
Mhm.
and to just, if you figure out that, you know what, the Lord just isn't going to answer as quickly as I want, to kind of settle down.
Right.
And, so this is like our dog wanting to go for a walk,
Mhm.
he comes and he's eager and he wags his tail and he looks at us
Mhm.
really expectantly. And then we'll say, oh, I forgot, we need to take a walk. And he's so happy.
Mhm.
But then if he comes and does all of that and we're still needing to finish work, he'll be there for a while and then you'll see it. Okay, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I might as well go lay down. And so,
Yeah.
so he goes and lays down. So it's that kind of a deal of us going, okay, the Lord isn't going to answer this quickly. I might as well go relax. But for a lot of us, we're not as smart as my golden retriever, It's like- yes, yes, Barbara. Is there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I want to say something. It's something about that we want the answers and the responses very fast.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I learned something back in my time when I was in Ensenada in my Sabbath year. That I started to go in the mornings with a house with one of the eldest lady of the church, and she had this ministry of prayer every morning at 8 in the morning, from 8 to 9. But she was very blunt. How you say, like a very blunt. She's a
Oh.
wonderful. She is a wonderful woman. I love her so much, and actually, I learned the power of the prayer through her. And one morning show was like one person or two, but I didn't have anything to do, so I actually I do it I was every morning with her. It was after my walk. So and everybody was putting prayers like please for my son, or put your prayers not for the and one of the ladies came in, one like I see one of the rebel ones, and she had, Sister Sophia, can you please pray for my such and such? She asked for the prayer. And I want God to ask to answer fast to my prayer. Yeah, if you were as fast if you were as fast as obedience as your request, oh my gosh. But it's true, and we didn't, nobody take it personally because everybody knew her, but she was a very strong faith woman. But that's true. We ask God to do things for us, but the same, what we are putting into it? Like, are we the same with Him? Are we the same, the obedience, same as loyal,
Yeah.
same as faith, same in everything? So we take our time. But the other thing that I want to mention is in what God say to Peter, like it's not up to them to know when the end of the times, or for some
Right.
information. That's true. We know exactly what we need to know, and that's it. And we need to keep on that, and to know our Lord, that if He does not want to reveal something, it's because for our own good. So I'm at peace with that, and I don't need to know. And I'm very stick with what you mentioned, Dee, that we need to worry for our present and for the eternity, not for the future, but those are the
Right.
two main things that we need to focus on.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
it. I wanted to say.
Thank you, Barbara. Great comments. Yeah. In the chapter on 190 and 191, when I talk about the examples of slow pace, have you found it to be true that like for me, I noticed that when I'm praying for life circumstances, the Lord tends to walk at a slower pace than mine. So I need to adjust to, he's going to work it out, but he's going to do it not immediately. Usually. But when
Yeah,
it
his
comes
timeline.
to- But this year had a lot of things, practice the drills, practice. It was like, no, wait. I want you to do it now. Rid yourself of anger now. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees now. Stop worrying about the what ifs now. And let the peace of Christ rule in my heart now. It's like for this year, it has been a big year of, okay, stop doing this, start doing this, make adjustments, this, and don't mess around with it. I mean, do it for real. Okay, so when I see that, that's referring to exactly what Barbara was saying. Okay, I wish that your obedience was as fast as the pace that you want me to answer the prayer. And I think that's a perfect way of saying it. So isn't that good? Okay, all right. We are running out of time. I don't want to belabor things, but in our study questions, at the bottom of the study questions, I have a thing about by the end of the class time, we will complete the following 4 ways to make ourselves more receptive to the peace God is sending our way. Okay, so, and I'm just taking one from most of the entries that we did. So the first one that I saw was number 1, to identify and avoid civilian affairs. Okay, does that make sense? Okay,
Definitely.
so if I want to live where I'm letting the peace of Christ rule, it's I'm distinguishing, okay, what's my lane, and what's the task that God's given me, and what's outside of that. And so if I stay in my lane, then that's a path of peace, and the Lord will help me to let the peace of Christ rule. Okay, and it's not a big push and pull. It's like I'm staying in the pathway that's the right path. Okay, all right. Second one is to train to stay in the path of peace. Is this a cool idea to just be thinking about that there is a mindset of peace that the Lord has for us that needs training to discover and to walk in? Okay, especially for somebody like me who had no clue. It's like, this is just an amazing thing to go, you know what? There is a pathway that it's a general, here are the kinds of things to think about and to not think about. But then there's a specific one for Dee Dee. Then there's a specific one for Dottie and Maureen and, each of us. Okay. It is, if you stay in this, doing this, and avoid these topics and these, jumping into the in-law struggles, it's not your task. You'll get all goofed up if I go there, but if I stay here, I will stay at peace. All right. The third one is to rest in need to know info. It's like, if I have figured out, in that year, I had figured out I'm not going to die, but my medical issues were going to be around for a while. Okay, so I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to fret that I haven't gotten well yet. Okay, because the Lord said it's going to take a while. All right. but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, I don't need to worry that I'm gonna die and it's gonna take a while, so chill. Just
Yeah.
chill, you know? So that's the idea of resting. Whatever it is that the Lord has shown you as the need to know info for a season, if you just chill and just let that be, and
Mhm.
don't keep butting your head against the wall, but say, you know, the Lord's told me it's not going to happen right now. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna, okay, what can I do productively in the meantime?
Mhm.
And the last one is to adjust your expectation. Okay, adjust your expectation so that you walk at God's pace. Okay, it's like, and I think this idea of, okay,
Could you
how
repeat that, Dee? To adjust your expectations.
adjust your expectations. So it's like, I'm expecting God to answer now, you know,
Oh,
tell
okay.
me, you know, if whatever, but if I say, you know what, it looks like the Lord is not choosing to answer right now, so I
Mhm.
adjust my expectation to walk at God's pace,
Got it.
not my own, God's pace. See, when Pat did that, they had been waiting, and it had been limbo and limbo and limbo. It was quite a while. And then
Mhm.
the Lord showed her that thing to do. But then I think that both of you, when you were, you know, buying the house, it was like your mind is in a whirl. Oh my gosh, you know, within boom, 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 boom. You know, I mean, it happened right away. I was like, whoa. So this is like, okay, now I see the Lord seems to be answering things fast. Okay, so let's go with it. Okay, isn't that cool? Okay, does that make sense? How do you like this? Does this seem like tracks to run on?
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, good. Okay, so now next week we go into the one where I totally fall flat on my face. So, oh well, you know, here am I. Anybody who reads through this book knows that I have many failures and flaws and insecurities and whatever. So, oh well. All right. Any last comments? And we'll wind it up.
And-
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dee Dee,
What-
for being human.
Oh,
Yes.
well, it's all that I
sharing
can
it.
be. Yeah.
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 And thank you for sharing it, because
Oh,
we
you're welcome.
realize we're running in the same way.
Yeah.
Different facts, but we're still doing the same treadmill,
Yeah, absolutely.
rocking chair.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
now we have the information
Mhm.
not to do that. So it's
Yeah.
up to us to adjust our expectations to walk with God at his pace. I really like this.
You like
Very
that? You
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
our dog. Yeah. Are they gonna walk fast, or are they gonna walk at the, you know,
Mhm.
the speed of death? You know? Okay. All right. Let's see, I think I'm gonna do this to pause.